If you're watching the replay, drop me a heart. I guess any heart. If I told you all the emoji, told you all the emoji I was thinking about, you'd be like, what is wrong with Morgan today? Okay, so I'm kind of in this place where I want to start having these more uncomfortable conversations. And the reason I say uncomfortable is because I'm awkward, not because they're actually uncomfortable, but like, I don't like to discuss things that I don't feel like I really have an opinion on. Like, I don't have an opinion on your relationship. It's not my place to tell you how to have a good relationship. But I also am kind of realizing like the things that have made my business thrive, the reasons that my business has done so well. And so you guys are killing it. You're literally killing it. And what's going to happen is you're going to come up against these obstacles. And if I don't have these uncomfortable conversations, you might not know how to get past those obstacles. And so I'm putting a glass ceiling on you by not going out of my comfort zone and talking about things that I wouldn't normally talk about. Does that make sense? So spouses and your business are something that can really, like, you can really come up against a wall. When you are like really running with your business and you are just in that like grind, hustle mode, team no sleep. I should have worn my team no sleep shirt. You can get to a point where your spouse is the one who puts like the cap, puts the ceiling, and is like we're shutting this down. And so this is an obstacle that we have to get over. And I never have this conversation. And what happens is I've had girls quit at their peak, like at their highest, like they are killing it, and they quit. They quit because their spouse goes, this is too much. You're doing this too much. And like, I can't do this anymore. And so when really, if I would have had this conversation with them, it might never have even come up. It might never have been an issue. And so we're having this conversation. Okay. So if y'all don't know me, if you're new here, or if we're not like friends on Facebook or anything like that, I'm obsessed with my husband. Like, obsessed with him. Like, he is like, I'm basically like the schoolgirl, like a middle schooler with like a crush on like the football captain. Like, that's how it is. Like, I'm the geeky nerdy girl, and I'm obsessed with him, y'all. Like, cannot get enough. He is just everything to me. And so we have somehow been able to keep a super thriving, incredible relationship, even with as much as I work. I work a lot, like a lot. Okay. But we've been able to, our relationship is freaking awesome. It's actually gotten better. It's gotten better with my business because of some tips that I'm going to tell you. And I hope, again, please know, one, this is incredibly uncomfortable for me. I feel very uncomfortable. Two, these are tips that work for us, and every relationship is different. Every single relationship is different. Every person is different. And so I'm not saying that these are going to be magic. And if you've already come up against some obstacles, it's harder to get over them. This is much better if you haven't hit these spots yet. I'm going to help you kind of work around them, so hopefully you never hit them. Does that make sense? If you've already come up against them, it takes a little more work, and it takes a little more work on your part, which is why this is so uncomfortable. Okay, I'm gonna stop saying that, and I'm just gonna get into it. So here's the real talk. Okay, your business doesn't take away from your family. Your business doesn't set your hours. Your business doesn't make you work 8 hours a day. Your business doesn't make you not put your phone down. Your business doesn't make your husband upset or your spouse upset. You do. You are the one who is choosing, this is so uncomfortable. You are the one who is choosing to put your business ahead of your husband, ahead of your family, ahead of your spouse. Those choices are yours. Someone else in your same exact situation might make different decisions. It's up to us as business owners and spouses and moms and friends to set those boundaries for ourselves. Our business isn't the issue. It's the way that we treat our business versus our family and our spouse. So my number one tip is for you to realize that this is your choice. Everything that you do with your business is your decision. You set those boundaries or you don't. You decide to be like a responsible business owner, a caring wife, a caring mom, or you don't. It's up to you. It's not your business's fault. Like, we have to be responsible. And so that's like my first thing that I want to tell you is that this isn't something that gets placed blame on the business. We're adults. You have to own that, and you have to own the fact that like you set your schedule, you set your boundaries, or you don't. And so that's my first thing is like the real talk that I want you to understand, that I tell myself all the time, I could put my phone down. If I don't put my phone down, that's on me. That's not on my business. It's not on my upline. It's not on my customers. It's on me. I could put my phone down. It's not going to be the end of the world. And so that's tip number 1. Okay. Tip number 2, I have a lot of tips. Hopefully this gets better. I want to do the real stuff, the tough stuff first so that we can get to the better stuff and I can end on a good note. Schedule your family first, okay? Your family stuff should come first. When I first started in my business, I would schedule my business stuff first, and then I would schedule my family around my business. So like, I'd be like, okay, I have a party this night. We have team call this night. I have this night. Okay, so we can do family dinner on Wednesday and Friday. And then the next week it would be like, okay, well now I have a party on Tuesday and I have a Zoom call on Friday. So now we can do it on Sunday and Monday. No. Set your family stuff first. What day can your family know for a fact, I'm going to cook dinner this day. We're going to sit down and have family dinner this day. We're going to have date night this day. We're going to do this on this day. And then no matter what comes up, no matter what Zoom you earn, no matter what happens, you have at least one thing, and I know this is hard for people, I know because it's hard for me too. You have at least one thing where they know the sky could be falling in your business, and you are going to put your phone down. Why am I so emotional about this? You're going to put your phone down, and whatever that one thing is belongs to your family. Okay? Sorry. Whew. I get very emotional about this because I believe in it so much, and I want you guys to understand that your family comes first, okay? Whew. Okay, so anyway, have the things for your business no matter what. No matter what comes up, you have those certain things, okay? So like for me, every single night, pretty much literally no matter what, I put my kids to bed. I put all of my kids to bed every night. It's not necessarily the same time every night, but for about an hour every single night, I'm not on my phone. I'm not doing anything. I'm laying down with my kids. I'm snuggling with my kids. It's a really bad habit. I wish my kids would put themselves to bed. But every single night, they know they get lay down time with mom. They know that I'm going to come snuggle with them. And it's not 5 minutes. It's like 30. Like, I lay down with each of my children every night, no matter what, and they fall asleep with me. Again, bad habit. My kids are literally 4 and 8. But we have our things. We all have something that our kids know and our family knows. I realized I skipped the thing I should have started with, okay? So the number one thing is communication, okay? So I should have started with this. I'm sorry, I jumped into my tips and I forgot the main point. The number one thing is communication, okay? And I'm gonna explain a little bit more of what that means. Communication means having boundaries and actually sticking to them. This is where we suck. And I'm telling you this because I suck at this. This is hard for me. Boundaries, like creating communication with boundaries. If you tell your husband, I am going to work from 9 to noon, you do not keep working until 12:15. You do not keep working until 12:10. You put your phone down at noon, and if you're like me, I work in an office. You probably don't work in an office, but at noon, I put my phone down and I at least walk out. Maybe I'm not done. Maybe I plan on coming back into my office, but at noon, I put my phone down and I walk out and I go say hi to my husband and I go talk to him, because here's what happens. If it's even 12:10, 12:15, you are losing that trust. And so the next time you say, okay, I'm going to work from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., he's like, is it really going to be 9 or is it going to be 9:30? You put your phone down when you say you're going to put your phone down, okay? You can come back to it. If you come out of your office like I do and he's still not doing anything and you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna go work for just like a few more minutes, but like whenever you need me, just let me know, you know, but come out of the office and make that like cutoff. Does that make sense? Because those lines can really start to blur, and that can really bug people. It can bug people, and you know that this bugs people because if your husband or spouse has ever done this to you, like I love my husband, but if he tells me he's gonna be home at 7 and he's not home until 7:30, I'm like wanting to call ambulances and be like, where is he? Is he dead? Like I do not, like, if you tell me you're gonna be home at 7, you be home at 7. You be walking through that door at 6:59 or I'm gonna start panicking. Okay, so boundaries are real, because then the next time if you were to go out and he'd be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be home by 8, and I'm gonna be like, are you gonna be home by 8 or is it gonna be 8:15? Because like I need to know. And so I'm serious about the boundary setting, the time setting. It doesn't mean that you're only stuck to those times. It just means having that hard cutoff and at least like putting it down and showing that you had that cutoff. But then like if nothing else is happening, does that make sense? Hopefully this makes sense. But this is probably like, this is a big thing. Because again, if you don't have those hard lines, and like they're just gonna get frustrated because to them, they never know when you're gonna stop working. They never know because you're not communicating, you're not giving boundaries. Even when you have boundaries, you're running over them. And so this is something that can like really fester and can really hurt your relationship. So making sure that you have those boundaries, okay? This is really important. And so for me and Josh, we communicate, it's not really a day-to-day thing. It's more of a season-to-season thing. So that's something also that you need to understand, is this isn't like every single week you're going to have the same hours. Every single day you're going to have the same hours. It's kind of seasons. Like I went to Josh literally on like January 1st and said, I'm about to go into like a 90-day grind, a full 90-day push where for 90 days, I'm probably not going to cook dinner, literally 90 days. But again, I've built up to this in 4 years. I'm like, I'm probably not going to cook dinner. The dishes are going to get behind. Laundry's going to get behind. I need 90 days to literally work my business practically 24/7 so that we can push into the next seminar year and we can like kick off the next seminar year in a huge, massive way. And because I've been doing this for so long, he understands what that means. And I'm going to get into a few more tips about this. But he knows that a 90-day grind means see ya. Like you're taking care of the kids, you're doing all the things, you're probably going to take them to McDonald's for 90 days. You can start out with like 2 weeks, you can start out with 30 days, you can start out with 5 days, whatever works for you. But he knows when I say I'm going into a 90-day grind, I mean it. And I did. I stuck my head in the sand and didn't pick my head back up out of the sand until Colby hit CP. It took me like literally, it was like 10 weeks straight of like, I barely saw my family. I barely slept. I barely did anything. But guess what? When it was over, it was like, whew, okay, so what are we doing? Like back to family time, where are we going? And so he trusts me that I am going to let up when I say. If I would have pushed all the way through to April 1st, he knows that come April 1st, we're going to have a bunch of date nights. We're going to go on a vacation. We're going to do something. He knows that I'm going to let off because I've built that trust up over time. He knows that if I give a time frame, if I have a goal, like I let up when I'm done. I know you guys think I work all the time, and I do, but I give a lot to my family. Okay, so communication, having boundaries. It's on you, okay? So that's where we're at right now. Communication, boundaries, and it's on you to have that communication and to understand if they did the same thing to you, you would probably freak out too, okay? If they started a new hobby and they were gone for like 5 hours and didn't tell you when they were coming back, like let Josh try that. I love him to death and I'd be like, whatever that hobby is, you need to quit. But if he was like, okay, I'm going to go work on it for 2 hours, it would be different. Okay, so, hold on, let me go back up. Okay, but here are some fun things. Know the things that they want. Is there anything, tell me in the comments, your spouse isn't in this group. Tell me in the comments if there's anything that is like your spouse's dream. And I'm gonna cry again, here we go. Whew. Okay, for me, for Josh, it was his Tesla. He wanted that car so bad. He looked at that car every single day. Y'all, we've been together 8 years now, I think. And from the day I met him, every single day, I'm not even joking, every single day, he was looking at Teslas every single day, you guys. And I put a plan into place. I literally had a spreadsheet, shocker, I know, a spreadsheet of, okay, a Tesla is expensive. Tesla is like this much money. If I save this much money per month, I can save up and I can buy him a Tesla. I thought it was going to take me years. It was literally, I think this was actually the year we were planning on getting it. It was like this year. So I had like a 5-year plan, or it might have been more than that, like a 5-year plan on how to buy his dream car. And y'all, I worked so freaking hard. Every extra penny went towards buying a Tesla. It wasn't for my dreams. It wasn't for bills. It wasn't for any of those things. I was working hard to build this business so I could buy my husband his dream car. We never would have gotten that car if it wasn't for SeneGence. Literally, we would not have the Tesla if it wasn't for SeneGence, but I worked my butt off while I was still working full time because my money was going towards, what was I saying? I was working full time, so I already had money that was paying our bills, so this was working towards the Tesla. And so I was able to literally buy him his dream car, okay? So I know that's like a super extra big goal, and yes, he actually did. He knew I was working towards it. He didn't know. I never tell him. That's another thing, is I handle our finances. Not everybody does that. A lot of husbands do, and that's okay, or spouses. But he had no idea like how much money I had saved up. He still doesn't know. He doesn't look at any of that stuff. But yes, he knew because I was like, we're gonna get it someday. But he didn't know how fast we were gonna be able to get it. And so the fact that I was able to get him his dream car on our anniversary was huge for us. It was huge. But here's the other thing, okay? It doesn't have to be a big car or anything big and whatever. Here's my literally my number one tip. If you want to get your spouse on board with your business, okay? And I know this is going to sound crazy and some of you are going to be like, well, that's never going to happen. But just roll with me here. The number one tip I can give you to get your spouse on board with SeneGence is to earn a trip. It's literally the number one way. Every single person who's ever earned a trip will tell you, once you can take your husband on a free trip, a luxury trip, and they get to meet Joni, and they get treated by Joni, and they get to eat 5-star meals, and they get to have chauffeurs that take them around everywhere, and they get to fly for free, and they get to go on excursions, and they get to do all of these things, you're gonna get home from that trip, and he's gonna be like, shouldn't you be working? Like, are you sure that you want to start this new episode of Netflix? Don't you have a couple parties to do? Like, he's going to be pushing you to go work because he wants you to earn the trips that you're never going to get to go on otherwise. Y'all, this is not a joke. It's not a joke. Like, the funny part is I still talk about the trips. Josh and I still talk about the trip to Australia. It's the only one Josh has been on. It's literally the only one Josh has been on. And y'all, he wanted me to hit Bora Bora. He wanted me to hit it, and I hit it for him, and then we didn't get to go. And then he wanted to go to Hawaii, and so I earned Hawaii, and we didn't get to go. So what do? Here's another thought, is I earn the trips, and then we haven't been able to go on the trip. So another one of, I'm getting way off track here, but this is me telling you, this is really like real. And so Josh wanted to go on like this crazy road trip, a 10-day road trip. I am not interested in a 10-day road trip. I was literally not interested. I was like, I'm not leaving my kids for 10 days. Are you insane? But I work hard for our family goals. I work hard to keep my spouse happy. I work hard to keep my family happy. He wanted to go on a 10-day road trip. So I made sure that I earned enough money to let him have this like dream 10-day road trip. We literally slept in his fancy car. Like, okay, anyway, getting off topic here. Work for their goals too, okay? It's not just about your goals, it's about their goals. And ask them, maybe you've never asked your husband. If you're anything like me, like Josh doesn't actually talk a lot. I have to like really like bug him to get him to talk to me. Not to get him to talk to me, but to tell him to get him to tell me those types of things. Like, I'm like, okay, what am I working towards next? What do you need next? What am I working towards? Like, he gives me focus. When I know what I'm working towards for him, it actually helps me work better. Okay, so Hold on. I had one more something. Oh, give them their time too, okay? so many, not all of you are going to be like this. So again, I've told you from the beginning, this is an uncomfortable conversation for me, but I'm just going to real talk you. If you are wanting to work your business 2 hours, 4 hours, 8 hours, but then your husband or spouse, I keep saying spouse because it doesn't have, you know what I mean, whatever. And then your spouse wants to go on a trip with the boys for the weekend or wants to go to the movies by themselves. My husband likes to go to the movies by himself. Is that weird? Yeah, but whatever. Like, you say, okay, have fun. You don't say like, oh, what? Can I go? Why can't I go? Or do you have to? Or I would miss you so much. You say, okay. You say, I support you. You want them to support you in your business. You need to support them, okay? Josh and I's number one thing that we say back and forth to each other is, I support you. He has gone on so many trips with his brothers. Have fun. I literally, like, have fun. I don't care. He goes to the movies. He would go to the movies literally like every day. So he goes like once a week and I'm like, okay, have fun. He wants to go to his brother's house. Okay, have fun. Because I work all the time. I work so much. Who am I to say, no, you can't have 4 hours with your brothers when I'm in my office for 4 hours a day, you guys. If you want them to support you, you need to support them, okay? So I just needed to get that rant out there because I know some of y'all need to hear that. You need to hear that if they want to go do something, you have to let them go do it, or else you can't expect them to support you too, okay? Okay, so the next one, this is actually going to, how do you convince them to that spending earnings on trainings or conferences will be worth it instead of putting money directly towards personal goals? So money is a little bit different, and money is different for everybody. It depends a lot on your personal situation, your finances. Is your business trying to pay your bills, or is your business a hobby? So that one is so different for everybody that I'm always happy. Like, if you want to message me, I can always help you to talk about that. But what I will tell you, and this is almost going against everything I've told you so far, but it's not. It all plays together, is that I don't ask. I am, and not to say that like I'm telling Josh what I'm doing, but like a lot of the time, I don't know how to explain it. Like men specifically, their brains are just different, which I'm going to get into at the end. But their brains are different. And so instead of saying like, I had $200 in profits and I spent it on a training instead of this, if you just flat out come to them and you say like, okay, I'm going to a training, it's on this day and this day, like they like when we just are kind of like, sure. Because how often, again, I'm being very gender stereotyping and I don't mean it that way, but like a lot of the time we're not sure. A lot of the time we're trying to ask permission. Is it okay if I go to this training? Is it okay if I do this? And a lot of the time, like you don't need to ask them that permission. You can say, this is what I'm doing. We're all adults. But again, this is getting really into relationship advice and I don't mean it like that. But like, I don't ask Josh if I can do things. I say, hey, I'm going to Las Vegas in April. I'm going, this place at this time. I'm going to this place at this time. And I will say, I messaged your mom to make sure she's okay watching the kids. I get everything set up, but I don't ask permission. I say like, hey, this is my plan because this is my business. I travel for my business. It's all tax write-offs. I handle it. I handle it myself. I handle my business. So I don't need to ask permission. I didn't ask permission to make money, so I don't have to ask permission to use the money. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense. And again, I feel like that's kind of stretching. But I'm always just like, this is what I'm doing. This is the plan that I have in place. Like, he's an adult. He can go buy his own dinner or make his own dinner. Like, I'm not going to have everything set out for him, but like, I make sure all of my ducks are in a row. And then all that he has to do is like, do his own usual thing. I make sure everything's taken care of. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense. Again, that's a different relationship thing. So all of the, I never know if any of this is helpful, but here's the last thing I'm going to tell you. And this is the mature content. You've probably never even heard me use this word in your life. Most of you, some of you have, because you're in like some other chats with me. But I want you to know, I heard this at a SeneGence training. Those of you who know what I'm about to say are probably just like, what is even going on? Because I shouldn't be saying this live in front of 1,200 people, but I saw this said live at a conference in front of multiple thousands of people at SeneGence. So if they said this on stage at a SeneGence conference, I'm just going to say it on the team page and just know that it didn't come from me, but that I know for a fact that it's true because I've had this conversation like 100 times in the past 3 years. Literally like 100 times. This is the conversation where if you come to me and you say that you're having issues with your spouse, this is the conversation that we're gonna have, okay? So this is just real talk right now and people are laughing because they know what I'm about to say, okay? Can't believe I'm about to say this on the team page. This is gonna be like my most viewed video ever, okay? Men need 3 things, okay? Men need 3 things. This is very typical. Please don't yell at me. I'm repeating something that somebody else said. Please know my heart here. It's a joke, but it's also, we're talking about marriage and spouses and we're all adults. Men need 3 things: money, food, and sex. Okay, this was said on conference. This was said at a conference, okay? I feel very awkward, but this is true. Men need 3 things: money, food, and sex. So if you are working your business so hard that you're not cooking as much as you were, and you're not bringing in any money, you up the 3rd one. You up the 3rd category. And I swear to you, if you up that 3rd category, they're not gonna care if you're making money. They're not gonna care if there's as much food on the table, okay? But if you're not doing the 3rd category, you need to make sure that you are feeding them and that they have food on the table, and that they have money to do the fun things that make up for the 3rd category, okay? I make a lot of money, okay? Josh and I, okay, this is real talk. I'm giving you guys super real talk right now. These 3 categories, I make sure that I keep them balanced. I make sure, because I heard this on a stage and it is so freaking true. It like changed my life. It literally changed my life. It literally changed my relationship. So when I go into a super grind, hardworking hustle time, the 3rd one goes down. But guess what? My husband got a new printer, a 3D printer. He's been using it pretty much 24/7, okay? That's money. He has money to go buy the things that keeps his hobby happy because I'm in a 90-day grind and I'm busy, okay? He has enough money to pay for food. So he's good. He's set. I'm not cooking as much dinner because I'm in a 90-day grind, okay? But in the moments when the 90-day grind is over, okay, when I'm not working as much, I make sure that those 3 categories are balanced. They're super balanced. And if I'm not working as much and I'm not bringing in as much money, I up the other 2. It's just, I promise you, if you stay focused on these 3 categories, if you really think, okay, I'm not bringing in any money and I'm so busy that I'm not cooking dinner. If you're not feeding any of those 3 categories, yeah, he's gonna be pissed. And yeah, he's gonna blame your business. The 3 categories works really, really, really well. And what it means is if one of them goes down, you up the other 2. If the money isn't there, you make sure that he is fed in both categories, okay? I feel so silly sharing this, but it's literally the truth, you guys. I've had this conversation hundreds of times and it's so helpful. So I know that's probably the weirdest advice, like Morgan giving advice on the team page, but it's real and it's true. And I would almost guarantee you that it'll help. And if you really sit and think about the 3 categories, when your spouse gets upset and you cover those 3 categories and you think, I'm not really covering any of them, or man, I've really gone down on 2 of them, I should probably go up on 1. It helps, okay? So I put that at the end because I was embarrassed to talk about that in the beginning. But those are my tips. I probably have more. Like I said, this has been a very long process with figuring out what works for us. But for us, it's really, communication is number 1. Communication is number 1, making sure that he knows when I'm working, when I'm not working, what times are for our family, like all of those things. Communication and making sure your family is scheduled first, even if it's just a couple hours at a time. Carla, it's not like, girl, this is real. It is real. And I will tell you, I'm going too much into this, But y'all, we talk about this. We have, like, I have some chats where we really talk about this because it's real. And it's like, if you know that you're about to go into hustle mode, you pay in advance. You pay in advance. If you are about to go into like a 30-day something, you pay in advance, okay? Anyway, just putting that out there. So communication is key. Boundaries are key. Knowing that it's on you is key. It's not your business. You are the one that has to set the hours, that has to set the boundaries, that has to put your phone down, okay? So boundaries, communication, and taking the responsibility of it for yourself. But then other than that, knowing that it's fun, knowing that you're able to work towards earning a trip with him that you never would have been able to earn, buying him something that's been on his wish list that he'd never be able to buy if it wasn't for you working towards it and having him in mind, letting him go do more fun things on his own because you are doing something for you. This business can actually bring you a lot of happiness in your relationship, can bring a lot of balance to your relationship. It can be great for your relationship, but you have to keep in mind the balance and the communication and the boundaries, okay? So I'm gonna let y'all go. Thank you for staying on with me a lot longer than I anticipated, but I hope this was helpful. Bye, guys.